Last time, not too pretty. We're looking to see a better one today. As we've just been told, 3 laps in, now 4, starting lap 4. And we are 2 by 2 in single file for the rest of the field back.
And at this point, Jeff Ramsdell's at the point with a big pack behind him. Already seen 3 wide action throughout the field. So far, so good, though. Everybody's been clean.
On the back stretch now, we got cars fanning out, looking like the 3-car Cody Dutton to the outside. Big player in last time's race here at Talladega, but mostly remembered for causing the accident that took out most of the contenders at the end.
And Dylan Rafferty up there on the high side, and behind him it looks like we had a car get way up near that wall. It looks like they're going to sort it out back there. But as I was talking about Dylan in the 46, he is mounting that high side right now and using the side draft on the 30 car, looking to get something going as they go into turn 1.
The differential at the line was 3/1000ths of a second. Rafferty had the lead, but he's going to surrender it to Corey Carpenter here as he goes way high and he's losing several positions.
Corey Carpenter followed by Chris Overland, winner of our Daytona event a month or so back.
Just looking at our top 5, we have Corey Carpenter back at the point. Chris Overland running second. As you mentioned, he won the Daytona event. Jeff Ramsdell runs third. 4th is Stephen Little Jr. and 5th is Danny Congdon.
And now it appears that we have a secondary pack forming that is not the first 6 cars up front. Looks like 2 and 3 wide racing is populating this second pack. And it's just a little bit of a stagger, nothing too major. But right now it looks like the 3 and 2 wide racing, for the most part, is about 5th on back.
Yeah, the first 5 cars got single file, got a little bit of a breakaway from the pack. Now the pack's caught back up to him with Scott Stenzel now working up the outside. Racing side by side for 4th at the moment with a push from the number 49, Corey Heffler.
And now thanks to the drafting physics that iRacing has, these 2 packs are going to pull back together as a couple of cars are shuffling for position. And it looks like that 42 and the 49 have gotten hooked up, and they are on the high side, going to try to mount something. Once again, we haven't seen the high line come into effect too much today for the 1st and 2nd place. We might see a change as they come across the line to complete lap 6.
And just something interesting I want to throw out there. We have 36 cars making time around the track right now. Their differential between 1st and 36th place is just 3.2 seconds.
Three wide down the backstretch.
Meanwhile, they're 3 wide up at the front.
Yeah, and the 42 now into the sucker hole. Nowhere to go. And the 49 of Corey Heffley, mile high line, as they say it in sim racing world, way up there, being pushed by the 26, the 39 and the 42 below him, and the 58 and the 88 below him, 3 wide.
And it looks like everybody's gotten down into that second lane, and that's going to leave Corey Heffley high and dry up there. Meanwhile, they're side by side for the lead at the line.
Something we haven't talked about at all today is the temperatures that could be looming in these engines. If you stay behind a car too long, they could get too high and blow. Something a little bit different from the last race we did here, a little bit more sensitive, if I'm not mistaken, right, Tyler?
Yes, I was talking to the event organizer earlier today, Brendan McGee. He was talking about and almost boasting about how temperatures were going to have to be watched, even with drivers running as they are right now, with a little bit of separation between their cars and the pack, because if they get too close to the nose in front of them, with their car to the car in front of them and cover up the opening to their nose, they're going to overheat in, he claimed, a matter of seconds. And it looks like we've seen very limited pushing so far. That's worked.
4 wide into the trial one. That could have got really bad very quickly. And contact up front. The Country Time Limited car makes contact with another car, trying to find out who that was. I believe it was the 47, and that could have been bad. And it's still getting crazy as these guys are recording an effect around that car. I'm trying to get a number on them, but they sort it out right now.
It was another hairy moment up there. Every moment you have to have your full attention here at Talladega, and that one was no exception with 47 getting up into the wall, and everybody was able to avoid him.
Yeah, and they had just went 4 wide to the tri-oval, and that was a very sketchy move by some of those drivers. They worked it out pretty nicely. Unfortunately, I can't really give these guys too much of a high hopes because I'm afraid I might jinx them. We've seen the last race go green for a good 5 to 10% of the race, and then after that, it was just a downward spiral.
Just takes a lot of focus to be able to keep under green here at Talladega. There's so much happening, and it's happening so quick. It's really easy to make a simple mistake and create a big incident as a result of it. And last race we saw that happen several times. Hopefully today there's going to be a little bit more focus and a little bit more luck for these drivers.
I don't know if our cameras caught it, but on the backstretch, the 12 car, the Kodak car, and the Chris D. Smith, he kind of went onto the apron. We lost signal for a sec, and then he came back, and he kind of had lost 12 or 13 miles per hour, and he got shuffled back a good 5 or 4 spots. He's right now sitting 10th and still having some connection issues, it appears. We'll have to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, and it looks like he's continuing to have issues with staying solid on the track. Now it looks like he might be moving up out of the way really early on here, working lap 11 of 94 scheduled for today's event. No need to get into trouble. Maybe right in the back, figure out your connection, and then work back at it later on. You've got a lot of time to make it happen.
We're working lap 11 here, and it seemed to have calmed down for the time being. Let's go over some of the rules that we have in effect for the payout. Take it away, Alex. Isn't there a bonus payout for a retro scheme?
Yes, the top finishing driver in a retro scheme will receive, I think, $5. And I think that's replacing what previously was the reward for being the top finishing incident-free driver.
And we're going to have to come back here because it's getting pretty hairy up front. We've seen a couple tire smoke marks and some plumes of smoke shoot out of that 2 and the 30 car. The top 3 drivers here have made contact with each other in some sort of way, whether it was bumper to nose or nose to bumper. It seems that these guys are having a hard time getting it lined out. So far, so good, though. They are single file as the 30 car jumps up to the high side going through the tri-oval. But it's just a little bit of, I'll go up here, you go down there. Nothing too crazy, but hopefully they can stay that way because we are still early into a 120-lap race.
Just want to note that there's a lot of names in this field, and that we saw in both the previous Talladega race and at Daytona. A lot of drivers doing these events over and over, and they all want to get up to the front and have their share of the lead throughout the race. It seems they all take a lot of pride in being able to run at the point. And it seems to be part of the reason why they're so antsy to get up there. And it makes it exciting, but also nerve-wracking at the same time.
Yeah, they're very comfortable with how they're running and the way they are running. It looks like
way out
one
of
car
shape
sideways.
He's got it back under control.
And that's Eric Arnold. He was the vehicle that ended up in the wall there early. Oh, and he makes contact, and that was an incredible save by number 36. Mike Taylor doing a great job hanging onto that car as he was hit in the middle of the tri-oval. Well, the hardest part of this track to keep everything straight, and he was blindsided there.
We got to go up front. They are 3 by 3 by 3 for first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. And the leader is going to come through the sucker hole here. Is the 26 going to have enough to get pushed by the 26 and the 95? They do. They make it work, but now they're side by side going into 3 and 4.
As Steven Azenzi taking the lead in the 95, followed by Devin Sprecher in the 26. It looks like the 26 isn't going to have quite the run to stay up there with the 95, but he's going to try and make that outside line work.
That was impressive. Those guys got together. While we were all looking at the back of the pack, these guys got 3 by 3, and they just went for it. And it worked out pretty good for a sec, but unfortunately it's not going to work out too good for the 26. He got put on the high line. He's going to have to make up all those positions that he lost. And he's going to fall out.
It looks like we have a bit of a separation now as a result of that incident. The top 13 are in their own pack, and then back to 14th. It looks like it's maybe about 20 car lengths. And then you have the rest of the field charging behind them, trying to make their way back up there.
Yeah, that's a good and bad thing. It's kind of a bittersweet kind of thing where you hate that you can't get to that front pack, as soon as you want, because it's going to take a while for these guys to get back up there. I mean, maybe 5 or 6 laps if it's coordinated correctly, but it can also be terrible because if a crash was to happen up front like it is happening right now. Here we go, boys. One car upside down. We're going to pile them up in the tri-oval.
The 26 car flips end over end. Several other cars go spinning.
Just as I was saying, I just jinx it every time, and it looks like the 36 is going to be done for the day, and along with a couple other drivers that made ridiculous amounts of contact with the outside Armco.
David Smecker, the previous lap, coming across the start-finish line, he was third. The next time around, he's flipping up into the wall.
I have to go back and take a look at that. Looks like it developed in the tri-oval.
I'm actually not too sure that many cars got involved. I think a lot of these guys did a pretty good job of getting through it. We'll have to go back and take a look, though, because there's a lot of cars scattering.
Oh, yeah. It looks like there's the 25 and the 26. They got in a bit of a jam going to the outside of the 30, and one thing led to another, and we had cars upside down.
Wow. And that is... A lot of people don't understand how you could, wreck there, but it's where the tri-oval gets pretty narrow, especially when you have people going over the seam, going through the tri-oval, and the car wants to shift. But in this case, it just looks like a bit of a miscommunication between the spotters and the driver. And to me, it looks like there wasn't nothing the 25 car of Brandon Hoff could have done, because it was just that last-second decision by the 30 to kind of move the car up a little bit, and unfortunately it's going to take out about 3 drivers.
Well, looking at it, when I look at it from my perspective, it looks like just working the tri-oval, his car was just coming up the slightest bit, and the 25 was arcing down a little bit to get down, and they just kind of converged at that one point, and that sent the 25 flying up into the 26, and they went on from there.
But an amazing job by at least, well, I'm not going to say a number, because it was basically the whole field that wasn't the 3 cars that were in the fence. I mean, everybody did an amazing job, and unless I'm seeing it wrong because of the iRacing netcode, I think the 32 car, if I'm not mistaken, had one of the best get-throughs. Let's see, yeah, the 32 car, if he hasn't got any damage because of the latency, I would say that's one of the more impressive things I've seen here on iRacing. That was an amazing job of getting through that.
It looks like a lot of drivers were fortunate that we talked about in the last event. You kind of have those instances where a wreck's developing and the cars no longer become solid. They can be driven through. It looks like a lot of drivers were able to take advantage of that little lapse and get away from this crash without any damage to their vehicles. They won't be in contention for the bonus for having no incidents of being in the top 15 or 10. I can't remember what it was in the field, but they'll still be able to race for the win.
Yes, most certainly. Well, we're working our first caution here. And right now, lap 17 of 120, our first big smasher. Fortunately, it's not going to take out that many drivers, but hopefully we don't make a pattern out of this, because if we go back to last week's race, or a couple weeks before that, the same thing happened. We ran a first good 20-something laps under green, had a caution, and then went green for a little bit and then had a caution, and then it, like I think you said, Tyler, it's just cautions breed cautions, and unfortunately I would not want to see that happen again, because we are on a good track to have a good race. Just, an honest mistake. It's nothing that, couldn't have been necessarily avoided. It's just a racing deal. So it's not like we have a bad field of drivers here. It's, it's the kind of racing you see here at Talladega. I think we're going to have a good race tonight.
We'll have to see what happens on this restart, because we saw in the last race what happened was we went incident-free for most of the race, and then once we had them stacked back up for a restart, they found their way into each other again and again. So we'll have to see how they work their way through traffic this time.
While we're under caution, we'll go over your top 10 as for the last time by. Your first place driver, Jeff Ramsdell, in the 2 car, the 47 of Eric Arnold, the 95, the 30, and the 9 of Matt Sanders will round out your top 5, followed by the 38 of Chris Overland, the 42, the 49 of Corey Heffley, the 58, the 20 of Shane Daughtry will round out your top 10.
I just want to give a tip of the hat to the 47 there. We saw him sideways in the tri-oval and down on the apron, and now he finds himself back up running second. Pretty good job to avoid a couple of scares there that could have put him out of the race and come out of it not only clean but with good track position. Eric Arnold took a couple of incidents that could have put him out of contention and managed to keep his hopes alive here as we're about to complete lap 18, start 19 on this restart.
As these cars pace, it's going to cool down the engine, so these first couple laps as we go back to green flag racing will be a little bit more easier as far as the guys having to deal with the temperatures. They'll have a little bit more time to make some moves, to push someone out front and hold it there before they have to back off, just like in the beginning of the race. That's what we're going to see. Probably a lot more, I guess you would say, crazy racing on the restarts, opposed to after we get into a run, because these guys have a little bit more of a cooler engine and they want to use that to their advantage while they have it, and we'll see some moves being made that we won't see necessarily in the middle of the run.
Just bringing up the pit stop times from that last, this caution period that we're working right now. Jeff Ramsdale running first and Eric Arnold running second. Appears they did not pit. And then working right on back, it looks like possibly 2 tires or fuel only for drivers coming in. With 16 laps complete at that point, coming in and getting gas, I'd have to say that was a good decision.
Yeah, most certainly. That definitely is going to come into play.
Looks like our first driver with 4 tires would be running 9th, that being Danny Congdon.
Long caution period here, so we're going to cut away for our first commercial break.
Pepsi, Generation.
Gordon is way behind. Stick a fork in Jeff. He's done. What is he thinking? Holy balloon!
Ooh, that's gotta hurt.
What could possess a man to drive like that?
Gotcha.
He's making his move backward. Gordon wins!
We gotta get him a cup holder. Pepsi, Generation.
I'm out there to win.
Isn't he your cousin?
I didn't say I wouldn't go fishing with the man. All I'm saying is, he comes near me, I'll put him in the wall.
You don't even race in the series.
Listen, go-kart track, grocery store, those remote-controlled boats. When it comes to Mike Wallace, story ends with me putting him in the wall.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
We are back now at Talladega, still under caution.
Looks like we got the 1-to-go signal there. Keen viewers watching will notice that they're stacking them up double file for this restart, a difference from last race. Brendan McGee, who organized this race, figured that with double file restarts there might be less shuffling getting into turn 1 with everybody already being stacked up and being in a line, hoping that would create cleaner restarts. We'll see how that works out here on this first one.
That would explain for the long caution.
And just wanted to document that Eric Arnold, I was talking about him being second, he came in on that last lap coming to 1-to-go into the pits to get his fuel, so that leaves Jeff Ramsdale as the only driver who did not pit under this caution. Field enters turn 3. We'll be going green in about half a lap here. We'll update your top 10 since it's changed since the pit stops. Jeff Ramsdale runs first in the number 2. Second in the number 95 is Steven Azenzi. Running third is the number 30 of Corey Carpenter. Running fourth is the number 9 of Matt Sanders. And running out the top 5 in the number 38 is Chris Overland. Running 6th is the number 42 of Scott Stenzel. Number 49 of Corey Heffley runs 7th. Running 8th is Danny Congdon in the number 58. Running 9th is number 20 of Shane Doherty, and running 10th, rounding out the top 10, is Kyle Taraska in the number 4. He's been quick in both the races that we've had before, so we'll have to keep our eye on him.
Pace car is in.
Yep.
Pace car's in, and now the field works their way down to get the green flag. Still waiting on the green flag, and now it's in the air as we begin lap number 21. Jeff Ramsdell leads him down into turn number 1.
The Country Time Lemonade car holding it on the bottom line, and we are too wide for the restart. That's important because we are not jockeying for positions going into 1 like we've seen in the last race, but the 30 is going to pull up to the high side right in front of, I believe, the 95 car behind him. And now they have something going on the high side, and they're going to take the lead going off into the turn number 3.
And it looks like people are going to continue to pass Ramsdell on the outside. Looks like nobody wants to work with him at this point. The 38's going around. Matt Sanders up there.
And they are 3 wide for 3rd place, and no one is getting going. And just like I said on the commercial break, those 2 top cars are pulling away because they're using that advantage of having that cooler engine on this start. So now they have pulled almost a second away from the 3rd place car. We'll see what it is at the line. It's just a little over. It's a little bit, almost a second. Yeah, there you go. It was updating again. So 8/10, and it's probably going to be more as they come off turn 2, but they'll get back to him because they can't stay like that forever.
Yes, McGee worked feverishly to make sure that this pushing couldn't happen for too long, especially once the engines were hot. So we'll see when they have to give it up. It looks like there's a bit of separation already.
Yeah, and we're about to find out. This is actually probably the most credible test we've had so far in this race, and we're about to find out how long they can push. And we can already tell the 95 is getting hot because he is not on that bumper anymore, and he's actually drifting off to the side, a little bit of a stagger as they go through the tri-oval. Not a bad thing. It's going to give a little bit more air to that car, and if they can do it efficiently, they can hold this lead a little bit longer. And at the line, they actually pulled a little bit over a second now.
Yeah, but I'll be interested to see what it is next time because they were able to push for a good half a lap. Now it looks like the 95 is getting every chance he can to poke out and get some air. Maybe the dashboard started lighting up quicker than he thought it would. It looked like they were able to do a lap and a half after a long caution period pushing, and now they can no longer do it. So
yeah, it's in iRacing, and just like in the real life counterpart, it's like Christmas morning or Christmas night when they turn on the lights and everything starts flashing and you start seeing that inside your car, the water, the oil, everything starts flashing. And by then, and with the new build and the way these cars are taped up now and the way they got them set up, it's almost too late by then. And look at this, the 49 and the 2 have caught them and working on the high side.
Corey Heffley and Jeff Ramsdell, they're going to go flying right by them because it appears they saved their push and now they break off, but that gives Corey Heffley the lead, and Jeff Ramsdell has a bit of a chance to carry the momentum up top. We'll see how this works out.
He's going to dive all the way to that middle line. He's going to jump right in front of this pack that's behind, or this little push that's going behind him with the 88 and his partner in the 11. They kind of broke up there because the 2 jumped in front of them. They had to get out of the gas. And now we're back to a pack up front with the 30 car leading the way off turn number 4. 1 car sideways behind them. And that was the 38 car. Holding on to it is Chris Overland as they go through the tri-oval. He's going to fall behind this pack and get something going as well.
Meanwhile, there's still 3 wide up there. Jeff Ramsdell up top trying to find a place to get in the line. They're going by him left and right. Well, more so to the left, I would have to say, but...
Yeah, Lapper car here is going to play a little bit of effect. Ramsdell's going to have to make a move here as they almost go 4 wide to get around them. I mean, 3 wide, excuse me. Ramsdell now thinking better of it and jumps to the low line.
Yeah, it looks like he got off of it there so he could jump in the line instead of forcing 4 wide there off turn 2. Not even a third of the way into this race.
And we are, just like you said, Tyler, not even a third of the way, and we still have at least 32 cars on the lead lap right now, and I would presume 31 or 30 cars without damage because the 32nd car right now was involved in our first crash. But up front, it's looking pretty nice and tidy up front. No one making any crazy moves, just riding 2 by 2.
Yeah, we talked about under the previous caution, we'd have to see how these drivers reacted to that caution, how aggressive they were going to be on the restart. And it looks like mentioned it before that there's a lot of drivers who did the previous event that are doing it again this time. Looks like they learned from last time, taking a little bit more cautiously and, you know, saving their stuff for the end. Hopefully, at least. I hope I'm not jinxing it.
Well, we'll have to wait and find out. We still got a long way to go, and up front, don't tell these guys that because Corey Heffley is getting it together with Stephen Little Jr. here. Friends in the real, friends in the sim racing world, and they're making it work up front. Not pulling away, but, you know, they're leading the way as they go across the line to complete lap number 26.
Yeah, so far, Heffley looks like started third, and he's been as low as 18th, but he's worked his way up to the lead and doesn't want to give it up too easily. But he has.
Yeah, and I think maybe he is intending to do the swap. I don't know if that's going to work, really, because here comes the rest of the pack, and they better make a move fast. Here comes the 9 and the 30. They're going to go 3 wide for second, now first, and the 9 and the 30 car making it work on the high side as they come off 4.
I was just about to say, I think Heffley's going to get the push from behind, but they had none of that. Matt Sanders moved up to the high line and took the lead. Now he dives all the way to the bottom as they cross the start-finish line.
Real dangerous making moves, especially in the middle of the trial where we have a little bit of a seam going through the middle and low line. And now they are stacking up in turns number 1 and 2. Side draft off turn number 2 down the super stretch. They're going to try to get something going as they head down the 30. And now it appears the 49 are together, and they're going to try to get something going.
By the way, that was our 14th lead change today, and that's setting us up for one every other lap so far.
In the way the 9 is right now, it doesn't look like they've got it together with the 88, and it looks like if the 30 can get some help, he'll definitely get to the lead. 9 car's going to lead this lap, but who's going to lead the next?
And just touching on what Bates said, 14 lead changes, take into consideration the fact we spent 4 or 5 laps under caution.
It looks like the 30 and the 49 and the 95, a little 3-car tango here, trying to get something going on the high side once again. And it also looks like the 9's drafting partner might be running hot because he's staggering to the left. The 88 is pushing him, or is being pushed by the 9.
Corey Heffley gave a good push to Corey Carpenter there. Carpenter's going to edge ahead, but now Heffley, I don't know if he's overheating, but he has to dive up high and get out of line. Well, now Jeff Ramsdale works his way underneath of him, too. I think he wanted to get back into line, but that wasn't happening at that point in time.
Will we see another lead change as they come to the tri-oval? Well, it's going to be a yes. Here comes the 30 and the 95, new leader, Corey Carpenter.
And now he dives down to the bottom, leaves Steven Zenzi out there, but if Ramsdale can get up to Zenzi, I know that he wants to get up in the lead. He was going after it in our last race at Talladega. And Ramsdale does get up to him, giving him a push down the back straightaway. The 95 of Zenzi works his way up to Carpenter's door, and now they're wheel-to-wheel entering turn 3.
If the 95 can hold it together, we're going to see, I believe, our 15th or 16th lead change here as they come off turn number 4 down the front straightaway into the tri-oval. A dog leg called by some. And it's interesting here at Talladega because we have this extra length of track to get to the finish line, and that might come into play today. The 95 couldn't get it done that time by, so we remain at the 15 lead changes. And it's mounting, though. Look at that high side. We've got 4 cars up there, and 4 cars we haven't really seen all day as far as the 42 and that Miller Lite car goes, and they are working their way up front.
And I also want to point out that this pack has come right back together. We had a little bit of separation there after that restart. We had about maybe a dozen cars working their way up front. Now they're all together.
Yeah, and something interesting as it seems to have calmed down just a little bit. We have 2 packs now. One that harbors, I believe, the first 22 cars or 21 cars, and then from 22nd to 31st we have a second pack, and they're just riding it out back there.
Yeah, again, a lot of names that participated in our last race here at Talladega. Looks like they've decided to take the approach of just riding, logging some laps, and making sure they can make it to the end or at least close to it instead of getting caught up in some incidents.
Yeah, and I think they're actually far enough back to where, and I hate talking about this, because every time I mention this, something bad happens, so I'm just going to be very vague about it. Being back there can exclude you from some extracurricular activities on track. We go back up front.
Nice.
Speaking of extracurricular, it looks like Scott Stenzel up there in the 42s working the high line. Now Steven Dezenzi's going to come out, get the push from him, and we are going to have a lead change, it looks like, at the line. As Dezenzi dodges down in front of Jeff Ramsdell, he takes the lead, but Scott Stenzel's not done. He's working his way up past Jeff Ramsdell for second and trying to work his way up to the side-by-side with the 95 for the lead.
Something I've seen from Zenzi is that, or just all the cars that seem to take the lead going across the start-finish line, they instantly dive onto that low line. What is it that's so important about that low line when you have someone on the high side pushing you and he got you to the lead? Why not stay up there?
I'm honestly not sure. I guess I'd have to chalk it up to people just being aggressive, thinking that they need to get down low and stop the progress from underneath of them, but if it were me, I'd want to keep on working with that guy who just pushed me up to the lead and at least get them clear of the bottom line. But it looks like both lanes are working just as well. I don't know. I think everybody just wants to cover their position. Ooh.
Sorry to interrupt you there, Tyler. I was going to say they were just trying to wreck coming across the line, and you're correct. They are aggressive, and it seems they wanted to get to that low line, and they'll figure out a way to get there any way as possible. And apparently they had to use the side door there as the 42 and another car was almost sideways going into one.
I was just saying that they want to keep their position. Looks like they're willing to knock each other out of the way to maintain it.
It'll be interesting if the toe is correct in that car, because we know a little bit of damage, or a little bit of contact, especially the way that occurred. It could have easily knocked someone's toe out. I don't think it will, but you got to be real careful. These steering wheels are very sensitive in these race cars.
Meanwhile, Dylan Rafferty, through all that commotion, was able to take over the lead. Jeff Ramsdell finds himself running in second. He's been running up front most of the day, but he did not pit on that last caution. We'll have to see how soon he has to dive onto pit road if there's no caution.
In the way they're racing now, I wouldn't go against there being a caution, but they seem to be having it under control for the most part as they go into turns 3 and 4. But anything's possible here as they are running pretty staggered. The whole pack isn't really sorted whatsoever. It's 2 and sometimes 3 wide as wow, look at that move.
Oh my goodness. Steven Dezenzi dove his way into the bottom line. I mean, must be a little bit of a different feeling in the car. They must feel like the bottom line is the strong line, because every chance they get to get down into it, they take it. Although as we have Corey Carpenter racing side-by-side with Jeff Ramsdell, I maintain that outside line is just as strong, especially if you have a good push from somebody behind you, like the 46 of Rafferty is giving Corey Carpenter.
Yep, and now we have 2 lanes forming a little bit more sorted this time as they go into turns 3 and 4. And the 95, who made that hellacious move going through turns 3, is on the back bumper of the 2. Now he moves up to the high side, and that's dangerous, very dangerous. You can't be doing that. The 2 makes it work, though. He pulls to the outside of the 30 through the tri-oval, and we're going to have a battle for the lead.
I think he may have been forced up into that high lane. You were talking about the 95 of Dezenzi pushing him through the corner. He may have pushed him to the point where it got a little bit out from under him, and he had to work his way up the track to hold on to the car.
Well,
as it just so happened, it worked into him getting into the lead.
Exactly. I was going to say a smart move. Now in hindsight, it seemed to have worked out pretty well, and he's going to take the lead. I don't know how long it's going to last, but who hasn't been able to keep the lead here as they go 3 wide for first place in turns 3 and 4.
Jeff Ramsdell on the bottom, Corey Carpenter all the way up top, and in the middle, we have Dylan Rafferty. Now Corey Carpenter loses his run, but still side by side for the lead. As they
contact,
went into the trial of contact. Matt Sanders goes around, also the 7. Many more as the caution comes out for the second time.
Spinning, crashing 6 or so cars through the tri-oval. Now the second pack arrives. Will they get through it fine? The bottom of the track's blocked. They're going to slow down, get through it. It looks like we've got Matt Sanders involved.
Chuck Johnson in the 7.
Yeah, and it's Stephen Little Jr., who Corey Heffley was pushing. Connor Babel is also involved. And I believe a couple more cars that may have got light damage, but for those 3 in the infield.
Stephen Little Jr. and Connor Babel, as you mentioned, all go into the infield along with the 8 of Joe Johnson. Looks like Joe's pulling off the track. I was going to say it looked like he got out of that relatively incident-free, but might have hit something wrong and gotten some suspension damage, and we know that that's going to end your day quick here.
And as this caution comes out on lap number 37, it's our rest in peace cone of the moment of the day, as we see the yellow cone get destroyed coming onto pit road. That'll be our first of the day. I don't think it'll be our last. And unfortunately, I think the cone has the least damage for some of these guys. A lot of damage on Matt Sanders' car as he took a heck of a lick right in the door. Not to mention the 7 who got hit right in the front end and almost ripped the whole front end off. We'll have to go back and take a look at who exactly caused that, because we just seen a car shear off right into the wall.
It just looks like the 7 went to just pinch down a little bit off of 4, and the car on his inside was just there, and just slight contact sent them all around.
Yeah, it looks like our 2 incidents today, it looks like it's been a condition where people are assuming that they can get up on each other and get that side draft, and any slight movement from the other vehicle is going to send everything haywire, and that's what happened there. Matt Sanders moved from his line just slightly, working his way through the front straightaway, and Chuck Johnson came all the way down to get that side draft and just came down a bit too far and ended up causing that incident.
Yeah, unfortunately, again, a miscommunication on some of these guys' parts. I'm looking here at the 39 of Connor Babel, who really shouldn't have been in this crash. It's unfortunate that the number 8 Circuit City, I believe the Chevrolet there, just couldn't get it woed down in time. And because of that, Joe Johnson is just going to have really no time to react and right into the back of Connor Babel, which sends him right into the 7. And really what creates the big part of the crash as far as about 3 or 4 cars spinning with Joe Johnson bouncing off just about everybody in that crash.
Looks like Joe Johnson is taking it behind the wall along with the 7 of Chuck Johnson. I'm not sure if there's any other retirees as a result of that incident, but I'm certain of those 2.
We're kind of seeing the same pattern as last race, except it's a little bit more spread out. We've had just about this is really our legitimate first big one. I think this qualifies with about what I see is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars spinning, opposed to the 3 or 2 we had in the first crash. So far, this is really our only big spinner. We still have plenty of cars left, and it's about 10 or 12 laps from the last caution. So I mean, we had a pretty good run there. Again, it's just an honest mistake. I don't think we're seeing a pattern emerge like the one we had last 2 weeks ago, where it just got ridiculous. So I think as far as the pace goes, I think we're on a good pace. We're making good time, and right now, it's been a fun race to watch and call.
Yeah, it looks like we have upwards of 24 cars that are undamaged and still in contention, and a couple more that were in that most recent incident that had to get some damage repaired but can still soldier on, and in the draft might be able to still contend.
Still have a few more laps of caution to go, so with that we will step away for another commercial break.
Sound muted.
Hey, Ricky, great win today. What was it that put you up front?
Just a super race car all day long. This thing handled good. Fat back the swing, put a great chassis under, 8 horsepower under the hood. Just a great car.
What else worked for you today?
I tell you, right when we needed a great stop, these guys cranked out 12 and a half seconds, put us out front, and gosh, after that we didn't have to look back.
Anything else off the top of your head?
Well, let me think a minute. I can't think of anything.
Give it your all. Give it Haviland.
I know I'm forgetting something.
It's been the best driving the number 15 Napa Chevy the past 2 seasons, but this year's going to be really special. The entire Dale Earnhardt Incorporated family is joining me in spreading the word about Napa quality.
I'm at the wrong track. I didn't know I was that good looking. And I'm not splitting the money with you.
You think they're making fun of me? I think they're making fun of me.
Sound
Right.
resumed.
Okay. Go, James.
And we're back here live at Talladega working lap number 41 of 94 scheduled in this event. Still working our second caution of the day for an incident in the tri-oval. So far we've had 22 lead changes, the most recent putting Elliott Henderson up front, running second Steven Nazenzi. Third would be Corey Heffley, fourth Shane Doherty, and fifth is Corey Carpenter rounding out the top 5.
Fantastic race so far. Hopefully, we've seen the last of the big crashes, as far as, at least for now. I mean, it's acceptable when we get to the end of the race where people are actually having a purpose to race hard. Though it hasn't really, it hasn't been because of an aggressive move per se that we've seen a crash. We've just seen a lot of people making a dive, in this case to get some side draft, overestimated the movement a little bit, and contact was made, and unfortunately it took out some cars. But nothing like last race where we seen a restart, people jumping to just get the position, and then a crash happening. So good there.
Certainly, I would agree with you on that point. Our last race, we had a lot of people making really bold moves trying to gain positions, and our couple of incidents that we've had today have just been sort of two cars occupying one space at the same time, and just working the draft and making tiny mistakes. Unfortunately, that result in big crashes just the same, but it hasn't had the same tone to this race that we had last time, where there was a big sense of urgency from the word go. And ultimately,
Right.
I think we're going to have a cleaner race and more cars in contention at the end.
Certainly hope so. It has a chance to be a fantastic finish. I don't know what the rules are as far as the green, white checkers go. I'm not sure if we'll be doing that. We'll have to wait.
An extra 26 laps have been accounted for in this session, so there's an extra 26 laps worth of time for them to put in green, white checkers. Green, white checkers will be in effect for this race if they are needed.
And unfortunately, I think last race we had, a rumor spreading and maybe a possible usage of that rule. Unfortunately, we just didn't have the amount of cars that we needed. And just in honesty, no one cared at that point because it was.
And there was also the fact that there wasn't time because the caution came out with 3 laps to go, and they were just getting to the pace car with 3 laps to go. By the time they had everything sorted out, they were going to be putting the race back green with 1 lap remaining, and you don't want to do that. So they've come back with a better plan for this race. They have plenty of time to work with and plenty of time to make this thing end under green if they possibly can.
Yeah, it's like the red flag rule as far as NASCAR goes before they introduced the GWCs. It's a courtesy thing. I mean, when it comes down to can they get the race restarted legitimately, and if they can't, then we're just going to end it. Because at that point, we're losing quality of the finish.
Yes, same thing as in real life. You want to finish the race. You want to do what's in the best interest of the fans. Having a 1-lap shootout at the end of a race, especially at Talladega, is not in the best interest of a good finish. It's just going to be chaotic, and especially with the way the last race was, it wasn't going to be a very good venture.
Exactly, and it wasn't going to most likely end in a side-by-side or 3-wide finish because we probably would have had cars upside down in turn 1. Not to say that's not what's going to happen today as far as the finish goes, but we might be at speed, and it might be a legitimate cause for a crash if it does occur. We'll have to wait and find out because we are still young into this race as we are yet to get to the halfway mark, but we are nearing that as we speak.
Yeah, I believe it's been a little over 20 laps since they came onto pit road, so we'll have to see how that works out for them, but they're coming down, waiting for that green flag to go in the air, and there it is, back underway as we begin lap number 43. Henderson is going to lead him into turn number 1, but it looks like Azenzi got the better run coming to the line, and he's getting the edge up.
This caution has brought back the field. Originally, 22 cars populated the first pack. Now we have the full lot all together. We'll have to see how that plays out, but up front, 2 by 2 for the first 4 positions as one car dives into the apron and they almost go 3 wide, and it's continuing to be a battle for first place.
Azenzi gets the advantage there. He's able to get into line with the lead, followed by Henderson, and in third is Doherty. And they're double wide behind them.
As they come off turn number 4, will be completing lap number 43. Azenzi in the 95 car up front all day, looking to stay there as he's got the 20 car behind him. The 94, Brendan McGee, in that McDonald's retro paint scheme, looking to get something going today as they go across the line. Azenzi led that lap. The singular car in the 37 machine.
Oh, there's some contact in the back, and they're going around, it looks like. Caution is out.
One car spin, it appears, and that car is going to be Eric Arnold in the 47 car, third caution here on lap 44. Service Master Clean caution in for effect for a one-car spin. And it could have been bigger as I'm looking here at the replay.
It looks like there was some contact between him and Nick Lancaster entering the corner. It looked like Lancaster pushed up a bit, and that sent 47 sideways, and then he bounced off another car and ended up hitting the wall, and it looks like that may have ended his event.
Yeah, I'm surprised that the 19 was able to hold on to that car. He hellacious door bang, and did a good job of gaining control of that car, or regaining control of that car, might I say. Yeah, the thing I'm seeing here that might be the savior for him is he hit more or less in the door and not in the wheel. We seen last race, I believe it was, I can't remember the name, but one driver, if I'm not mistaken, Corey Carpenter, had got hit in the wheel, and he was a dominant car, and it ruined his race. I might be mistaken on that, though. Okay, it was one of the cars last race that had been running up front. Just got it taken away from him because he was just simply hitting the wheelbase, and when that happens, even in real life, I mean, it can end it just like that.
I think you're thinking of Jeremy Stanley under caution getting hit.
Right, it was Jeremy Stanley, that's right. Jeremy Stanley, and he's actually running, if I'm not mistaken, decent right now. Looking for him.
Yeah, he did a good job to keep his car straight through all that, but easy to get some suspension damage, especially when you have hits like that right in the wheel well, like we were just talking about. And as he comes down on the pit road, try and get some of that damage fixed, we'll have to see how well they're able to fix up that damage, or if he's going to have to struggle with it for the rest of the night.
Yeah, looking as it comes down pit road, I do believe I see some toe damage, but it may just be the way that the car is set up. We'll have to wait and see exactly what the problem, if there is one. To me, as of right now, visually, he's got some scrapes and some dents on the right side of that door. Aerodynamics play an amazing role in a win at this track. And unfortunately, if he's one of the only cars that has damage and can still run, he's not really going to get anywhere, because we still have about 30 cars without any damage on these cars that are running up front. Actually, let's go over real fast who, in fact, does have damage and is continuing to make a stride at this race. Connor Babel, who's on pit road right now, still making repairs to that vehicle. He has some problems, and we see Brian Green. I think he's actually going to park on the back stretch, waiting to see what he's doing. He is parked it on the back stretch here in the 06 car. He has damage to that Ford Fusion. Moving on down the list here. It appears to be it as far as people with damage continuing to make a stride here. But just about 3 cars that are continuing to make a go at it with damage, and very little in that matter. It looks like we were underestimating the damage level for Philip Kraus, as he is on pit road for a good majority of time. Good enough time for the cars to make their ways through turns 3 and 4, and if he doesn't get going anytime soon, which I believe is optional repairs, he's going to go a lap down.
Well, if they're able to fix it up to the point where he can contend with it, it might be okay to lose a lap now. We're just about to get to halfway. Be plenty of time to be able to get that lap back if you can get everything fixed up and then still be in contention. The key just is if they can fix it.
Stephen Little Jr. in front of him with some damage. Now he pulls away, so he doesn't elect to go a lap down. Depending on if we get the one to go, he can get around and get some more damage fixed and have a little bit of time. Looking at the pace car here. Pace car lights remain on, so we'll go another lap. So if you're him, I would haul butt around the track and get back. Maybe get some more optional repairs fixed if he has any more. If not, just run with what you got. Actually, I'm on board with Philip Kraus, and I'm watching the way he's driving. It appears that he's letting go of the steering wheel to kind of test where his toe is at. It feels like there is an effect as far as when he lets go of that steering wheel. We'll have to wait and see how it drives. Because even if your toe is knocked out, you don't necessarily lose tons of speed. It just depends on how much damage your car, as far as the bodywork has, is what comes into play.
Hard to tell if he has toe damage. Just by the way he's working the track, it kind of looks as though something might be just a little bit off. You know, he's kind of working the wheel in a way that makes it seem like, you know, it's almost like he's being delicate with the wheel. If he jerks it too much, it might go awry on him, because it seems like it might be a little sensitive, or maybe just me reading too much into his steering input, but we'll have to see how it is.
Most certainly will, as he catches up to the back of the pack here, and we will definitely see the lights in the pace car go out this time by. As we still have a couple more cars on pit road, Stephen Little Jr., he is continuing to get those repairs. Connor Babel also there in the 39 car making a last-minute repairs. That car is pretty toast. I think at this point he's just going to try to finish it out with as much as he can get.
The fortunate thing for these drivers with these long cautions is that just gives them more time to get their damage fixed on their cars. I know it's really, really tough to be able to stay in contention when you have any sort of damage at Talladega, but you know, being able to get it all fixed up doesn't hurt your efforts.
I'm going to make a prediction now. I think this will be one of the more crazier restarts, just because we have a lot at stake here. We're apparently looking at a fuel mileage race if we can continue to go green. And in that case, maybe some guys want to get into a position, maybe get to the lead and get away from this pack. The last restart we had, these guys pulled away a ton. Obviously, the heating got to them. They had to back off. But I think we are getting to a point of the race where it's not go time, but it's, you know, pack your stuff. We're getting ready to go time.
Yeah, and hearing talk about fuel mileage possibly playing a factor in this race, based on what happened in our last event, and even based on what we've had in this first half of the race, not that people have been overly aggressive, but just things have happened, I don't know that I would say that fuel mileage is going to be too much of a concern. We'll see how it works out, but it's just hard to believe that we're going to go to the end of this race, the second half of it, without another incident. As you mentioned, those two are on the outside lane. We'll probably see them work together on this restart, probably see Tarasco give a good push to Dutton, and once everything sorts out and the pack gets back to him, or however it ends up sorting out, we'll have to see how Dutton works the draft and how Tarasca is able to work with him amidst everything. See if Dutton's as aggressive as he was in our last event as they work their way through the tri-oval and down waiting for the green flag.
28 cars in the lead lap. As we come across the line, we're going to complete lap 48 of this event. Green flag is out, and we are back underway.
Henderson has the lead once again on this restart. It looks like he did a little bit of a better time this time getting going on this restart because he holds the edge going into turn number 1, but it's going to be all about the push. Dutton has the push from Tarasca up top. And Stenzel is going to be pushing the 87 off of turn number 2.
Familiar faces up front once again, the 3 and the 4 car. Paint schemes of the father and son. And Tarasca and Dutton, they're good friends. They've pushed each other in all 3 events we've had in this little special series. And they are going back to the front, but not before those guys in the bottom line going to get them run for their money.
All those cars have blasted from the pass up there in the top 4. We have an old Jason Leffler car. We all miss Jason Leffler in the racing community, and it's unfortunate what happened to him earlier this year. Nice to see somebody in this field running a car paying tribute to him. And we have another car from Jeff Gordon in 2001, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 2000s, and his father, throughout most of his career, running those famous black colors with the GM Goodwrench on the hood.
Yeah, definitely a good sight to see. A lot of beautiful paint schemes here at Talladega, and got some blocking going on up front. And just like the last race we seen, the 3 car, a little bit of high, a little bit of low, making it work wherever he can go. Off turn number 4. The 3 and the 4 car lead the way, but not before he almost chops the 4 car, almost chops the 58. We're going to go 3 wide for the lead in the tri-oval.
Meanwhile, they're still shuffling for the lead, but I thought he might not do that this time with Kyle Tarasca being right behind him. Might stick with his partner and try and work with him. Even if you get shuffled back a little bit, you have somebody to work with to get back up to the front. But looks like Cody Dutton just wants that lead and doesn't want to give it up once he has it.
Yeah, they got to be real careful because Tarasca on the bottom, he's known to make some drastic moves, and not before the 3 car in front of him does it. My goodness, Cody Dutton is all over the place, but he holds the lead in turn 3 and 4. The 42 of Scott Senzel will drop in behind him, and now the 95 car is unfortunately going to get hung out to dry. He'll have to drop in on the low line here.
Yeah, we saw Dutton catch the apron there as he dove down in front of Tarasca. Really aggressive move, but I think it's partially because he wants the lead, and also I think he does want Tarasca behind him. I think he trusts him more than any other car in this field.
My goodness, the 28 shot out of that like a cannon. Off turn number 2, down the super stretch. They're going to battle for second. They're going to try to go for first. No one is pushing Dutton. The 46 and the 28, the 95 and the sucker hole. We're going to go 3 wide for first in turns 4.
And it looks like the 95 of Steven Azenzi is going to get the advantage here through the middle with a push from Chris Overland. Put them to the point first and second. Meanwhile, they're still side by side for third behind them.
95 is Zinzi now. Zinzi working his way up front. He's made it there with help from Chris Overland, who has seen the checkered flag in this special series that we run here in iRacing Flat Out Racing League. And now it seems to be a familiar sight. Chris Overland looking to take the lead down the super stretch, working turns 3 and 4 here on lap 53.
And as they're side by side for the lead, that allows Cody Dutton to come right back up on the back bumper of the 95, giving him a push through the middle of the corner. That's going to give the 95 the advantage for the lead, but I'm sure Cody Dutton's going to work his, and there he goes to the outside looking for the lead through the tri-oval.
Not much of a crazy restart like I had predicted, but it's definitely turned into a crazy run here as these guys are not giving up, putting on a heck of a show for these guys. They got to be real careful because we're starting to chop corners off as we go into turn 1.
And we saw Chris Overland work his way down to the bottom and gave a really good push to Steven Azenzi up there up front. And as they work their way around the lap car, my goodness, a little tense moment there, but they all make it through. Meanwhile, they're still side by side for first or fourth.
Working lap 54 as Dutton now back to the lead. He jumps on to the lower line where the 95 Zinzi was there. Oh, we had a car almost sideways back there in the mid-pack. They've got it sorted out. Back up front, though, Cody Dutton leads. Look at the 95, though. He's not going to give up on that high line. He's going to have help from the 69, though, if he can get there in time.
Not going to get it at the line, but Mike Johnson's still behind the 95, giving him a push, and Cody Dutton moves up, working that draft, but he's not able to hold him off as the 95 of Vicenza. He's going to work his way up to his door.
A lot of familiar faces here. Some of these guys just don't, care where they're at during this race, and that's why they stay up front most of the race. Cody Dutton, we didn't see him for the good portion of the event. Now he's made his way back up there, and I don't think he's going to move. He's going to stay up front for the rest of the race, and someone's got to get with him here because he's not in first, and we know Cody Dutton, he wants to be there. Where is his partner, the number 4 car?
Taraska's a little bit farther back, and I'm wondering if Taraska's a little hesitant to get up there and work with Cody Dutton. Looks like Dutton wants to make a lot of moves that Taraska doesn't want to make at this point in the race.
Holy cow, that's as close as you get from wrecking, and we're not over, boys. We're still 3 wide for the lead as we've got help on the high side, and we're going to fight it through turns 1 and 2. Look at this, the 51, the 11, the 69. Now we have the low line, Zinzi on the bottom of the 95. He's trying to get something going. He's back to the point. Not before the 49 and the 38 push him down the super stretch.
That's Ryan Cobb giving a push to Mike Johnson, trying to work their way around Steven Zenzi. They're side by side entering turn 3. And with that incident with Cody Dutton there on the front stretch, it seems that everybody's kind of getting strung out. Maybe everybody's starting to cool themselves down and take a deep breath and say, all right, let's get to the end of this thing.
The moves that Dutton makes here, it's not something that relates to Earnhardt. It's something that relates to Kyle Busch, Rowdy. He's making moves that even someone with a death wish wouldn't want to make. Not that he's making it work. He's fallen back a couple positions, but there he goes again to the bottom, right in front of the 38 of Overland. He's probably scratching his head thinking, what is this kid doing? He's making it work, though. High, low, wherever he can go.
And he's making his way up to the front, and he's doing it by himself. I mean, I suppose, why not? There's nothing else on the line. Go out there and bring home the checkers and bring home the steering wheel. We know what happened last time. I guess he wants to try it again and hopes for a different result.
Most certainly. He's pushing the 51 of Ryan Cobb, who we have not seen all day, trying to get a familiar face to the front. We got to expect him to pull out and pass him as soon as he gets the chance. Up front, and there he goes. Cody Dutton in front of the 95 of Zinzi. Almost makes contact with him. Zinzi's not going to be too happy. He is all over the back bumper going into 1.
Meanwhile, they're fanning out behind them. Mike Johnson working the outside. Chris Overland working in behind him. Trying to get that high line going, but so far nothing working there. Now Cody Dutton goes for the lead once again on Ryan Cobb, but Steven Zenzi's going to push the 51.
Yeah, Dutton high, 95 low. Cobb in the low line being pushed. Who's going to get the advantage? If we know Dutton, he's not going to give up, and there's a familiar face. The 69 is going to hook up with him. The 38 of Overland behind him, but he's not getting anywhere as they go through turns 3 and 4. The 51 still leads.
Business is picking up at the front as we're coming around to complete lap number 58. Cody Dutton's going to take the lead here. Our 33rd lead change of the race. And now Mike Johnson's going to move to the inside of him. And Dutton thought about trying to shut that door and realized that wasn't going to work.
And something we've seen from Dutton, a little bit of an aggressive nature, and that just proves my point right there. That's kind of a burn on his part. He just got burned, or he just got burned by the burner. And wow, look at this. We've got a new burner. The 38 of Overland goes low, pushing the 69 through turns 3 and 4. I don't think Overland wants to draft with that 3 car. I wouldn't be sure if anybody wants to draft with him.
Doesn't look like Ramsdale wanted to either. He went up all the way to the 3rd lane with nobody pushing him. He'd rather do that than get behind that 3 at this point in time.
Man, look at that steering wheel in the 38 car. He was all but turning that thing right into the wall. He's going to side draft past the 69. New leader, Chris Overland.
And now he's getting a push from Cody Dutton as they work their way into turn number 1. As he dives to the bottom, that leaves the outside lane all free for Cody Dutton, and he has the push behind him from Jeff Ramsdale and others up in that high line. We'll see if that can work for him. Seems the only way that Dutton's working his way to the front, though, is by making moves by himself and getting finding a push behind him, manipulating the push behind him because
he's got to be careful.
Anybody wants to work with him, and it's because he's doing things like that.
Oh my
he
gosh!
just moved the 69 out of the second position.
Cody Dutton. I've never seen someone move anybody out of the way at 200 miles per hour in such a way as that I've just seen. He's not over with it yet. Through the trial, he's going to side draft past the 38 car. But the 38's going to get pushed by the 51 of Cobb at the line, give it to the 3, but they are 3 wide going into turn number 1. Ryan Cobb takes the lead in 1.
My goodness, everything continues to pick up. There's more contact in the back of this little pack, but my goodness, we have seen the bump and run on the last lap of Bristol. Now we're seeing the bump and run on lap 60 at Talladega.
Yeah, I don't care what anybody says. That was one of the most excellent execution of a bump and run at 200 miles per hour that I've ever seen in any sim. And my goodness, have they kept it together or what? I can only imagine that we're seeing this. It's so fun to watch, but in the back of your mind, the intensity is picking up, and it's going to get to a point where it's overwhelming, and these guys will not be able to hold on to it.
Like you said, you can't deny it was spectacular execution. I don't think I would have done that, but I guess that's why I'm up here talking about it instead of in one of those cars doing it.
Like I said, a death wish. When you said someone's got nothing to lose, they're going to do just about everything to lose it. And now Cody Dutton, in a familiar position, back to the lead, but not before Cobb and the 38 of Overland going to change that on the super stretch. We're looking at 3 lanes as one car 4 minute on the high side.
Cody Dutton consistently finding his way back up to the front. I don't think people necessarily want to work with him, but it's hard to deny that he's making moves that lead you to the front of the pack. So if you want to get up there, he's not a bad person to work with in that respect.
Yeah, but look at this. The 38, man. See, if the 38 was Dutton, he would have just moved the 51 of Cobb. A little bit more respect coming from that car as Chris Overland is driving it into 1. Cody Dutton's not the guy to let off. It doesn't matter if it's lap 1 or it's the last lap. Cody Dutton wants the position. He's going to take it. And unfortunately, like you said, it's either the win or the steering wheel that's coming back to the hauler.
Yeah, and what we're seeing out of Cody Dutton, I truly believe, is a preview of what we're going to see with 10, especially even 5 laps to go in this race. When it gets down to that point in the event, everyone's going to be driving like the 3, and that's why it's going to be so hairy, and we'll be surprised if there's not calamity at the end of this event.
I'll be surprised if they make it another 10 laps, let alone another 5. These guys are racing like it is the last lap. Cody Dutton takes the lead.
And you were talking about fuel mileage.
Yeah, and the fuel mileage comes into play. At this point, these guys they've probably forgotten they're driving a car with 4 wheels because Dutton is doing some stuff that you won't see most likely with a car with 4 wheels. He has been flying quite literally up, down, sideways, diagonally. He'll put a car in a position that you can't get as the 95 had a little connection problems there.
At least you wouldn't think you could get it there, but he's been making it work.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's kind of an ego booster for him, and maybe something that people are going to start trying. We don't need 5 or 6 Cody Duttons, especially this early, and I don't even want to know, or I don't even want to think about 20 Cody Duttons going into this last lap.
Getting back to where the race at hand right now, Mike Johnson makes his way to the point, and Cody Dutton working his way onto pit road. See Kyle Tarasca behind him, and also Scott Stenzel. Those 3 make their way onto pit road for green flag pit stops.
Well, that was
30
sudden.
laps outside of the finish of this race. I think that's going to put them good to the end, but we'll have to see how this all shakes out.
Whether it's Cody Dutton making moves or getting on the pit road, he executed that perfectly. Cody Dutton got on the pit road about as fast as you can get on there, and right when he got to that line, it was 55 on the dot, so no penalties there.
It looks like Cody waited a little bit on the number 4 of Kyle Tarasca and trying to see if Scott Stenzel's going to get with them, but if these 3 can get together and draft, they'll probably be able to make pretty good speed and try not to lose a lap here in the meantime. I don't know if there's any cars in this pack that are going to try and make it to either the finish of this race or to the next caution without pitting, but we'll have to see how this all shakes out.
Yeah, what Cody and Kyle did is actually pretty smart because we're seeing some crazy racing up front. The 11 car all the way on the apron. He's going to lose quite a few spots. He might be out of fuel. I doubt it, though. He's just slowed way down. We'll have to wait and see. Up front, Corey Heffley in the 2. But like I was saying, Kyle and Dutton made an amazing decision of doing that because these guys are in danger of crashing.
Sorry, getting word from race control. That's the number 11 of Eric Rodman, engine failure.
And that's our first one of the day, and actually that's surprising because we went into this race thinking we're going to see a lot more, seeing that the conditions are worse and more probable for engine failures. On the pit road, though, we've got a couple cars. Oh, my goodness. Was that the 95? No, it was not.
The 97 of Tyler Packer, it looks like, was trying to slow down to get on the pit road and just couldn't get down to speed and make the commitment line. He hit the cone and had to get back out on the track. I don't know if he's going to have a penalty on top of that, but certainly a lot of time lost for the 97 of Tyler Packer.
Yeah, and the 77 of Jeffrey McClintock, he didn't really get through the pits as best as he wanted to. Just about putting it into the fence, getting on the pit road, and he's actually going to be left behind by most of the pitters. They'll have to wait and see if anybody waits for him. It does look like Brendan McGee is going to elect to do that. So, thankfully,
we have takers once again this lap coming down. Corey Heffley, we have Matt Sanders, and we also have Ryan Williams and the 06 of Brian Green working their way on the pit road. 4 cars this time.
Ryan Williams slides into his pits. He has to back up. That's going to cost him some time. He has to back up again. Finally, the crew's going to service that car. So Ryan Williams with the slow pit stop here. Matt Sanders in. He's just fuel. Brian Green, fuel. And it appears Corey Heffley with fuel. So everybody back out. Unfortunately for Ryan Williams, unless someone, again, waits for him, he's going to get left behind.
Looks like fuel or 2 tires only for these cars. Corey Heffley had 4 seconds for a stop. Matt Sanders, 8. Brian Green, 7.8. And then Ryan Williams with that slip, 11.7 seconds. And that's going to cost him a lot of time. He'll need a caution to get back with the pack.
Yeah, that's 11 seconds with just fuel. So, I mean, he couldn't, even if he wanted to have tires, he couldn't, he could not.
Looking at it, 8 seconds, I'm pretty sure these drivers are taking fuel only. I think that Corey Heffley may have been calculating how much he needed to get to the end of this race and took just that amount of fuel, and that's why he was able to cut his amount of time in his pit stall in half. We'll have to see if that comes into play, though, when we get down to a situation where we might have a green-white checker.
Yeah, I don't really think that was I mean, I'm not saying it's not smart, but I don't really think it's that big of a deal because he got so far away from the pack, he's actually putting himself at a disadvantage because these guys behind him are just going to pass him like he's standing still. And not only that, but he's out front with no draft, so that's pure drag on his part, which is actually burning more fuel.
And he was running solidly up in the top 10 in that pack, so I don't know. He may have just felt safer getting out by himself and let everybody sort their way up to him instead of being behind. Everybody's trying to get together and push and get their way back up into the main pack, possibly get into an issue. Maybe he feels more secure being in front and let everybody work their way to him.
Tell you what, I feel at the most ease right now. We don't have that many packs together. We don't have a 20-car pack with Dutton leading it. Not that that's a bad thing. It just makes it a little bit exciting. Not exciting for the drivers, but exciting for us and the fans. Right now, I think it's calmed down as much as it's ever going to be in this race. I think it's the calm before the storm.
Yeah, we're fresh off of these green flag pit stops. It's only going to be a matter of time until everybody's bunched back up together. We still have some cars on track that have not made their pit stops. It looks like the top 5 on track have yet to pit. They may be waiting, like I said, for the next caution, or they might be trying to stretch it to the end. I don't imagine anybody's going to be able to do that, but I also don't imagine that we're seeing the end of our cautions.
Looking around this track, we have a lot of cars spread out through it. Sorry to interrupt you there, Tyler, or just going over real fast. 25 cars officially on the lead lap, with the last one being Doyle Lawrence in the 32.
And yet another lap that these top 4 now is the 5th car in line ended up pitting. Jeff Ramsdale, Dylan Rafferty, Davey Scoville, and Shane Doherty working around this track without having pit yet. Another lap they go past that pit lane and continue to work around the speedway. And if this thing goes green long enough that we're in a situation where they have to come on the pit road or they're trying to make it to the end without pitting, which I don't think will work, theoretically, if it goes green, they might be at a disadvantage because when they do eventually make their pit stop, if it comes under green, they're going to lose a lot of time to these other drivers. And even if they make this pit stop under yellow, everybody else is going to stay out and they're going to have to come in. So unless they're confident they can make it to the end, there's not much advantage in staying out right now other than being away from everybody and being away from any chaos that may develop.
Correct, most certainly. And that's probably the plan throughout this entire field right now. As far as the plan goes for Ramsdell, I'm not sure. Has he made a pit stop?
He has not made a pit stop. I was watching for him to come down on the pit lane with the rest of the leaders, and he stayed out along with those other three behind him. A couple drivers that have found their way up in front, either in this race or in past races, like Shane Doherty, he ended up winning our past event, if I'm correct. And a couple others up there. All drivers that have been running solidly up in with the pack, and they've all elected to stay out and just ride along for a few more laps here.
Unfortunately for Ryan Williams right now, he's actually going to go a lap down. I mean, that is an unofficial lap down because obviously he has just been passed by the people that have not made a pit stop, but really he shouldn't be going a lap down. The reason why he is in this position right now is because he had 11-second pit stop without taking any tires, and where he should actually be on track related to where everybody else is, or relative to where everybody else is Philip Kraus. He's actually where Ryan should be. That's the margin for how much a 3 or 4 second difference can make. Ryan's coming out of he's coming out of turn 4, and where he should be are coming out of the tri-oval, so it's a huge gap.
Well, you have the 3 or 4 seconds on track, which is a huge gap, but then on top of that, you have no draft, and they've been working about a half dozen laps since he came onto pit lane. And as you run by yourself with everybody else drafting around the track, that gap just begins to grow and grow and grow until you finally find yourself in with a group of cars. Unfortunately, it's a group of cars that have just put a lap on you.
Yeah, and just listening to Ryan Williams' radio, he's just completely silent. You know, it's probably a little bit of frustration. This is the first pit stops we've seen. I'm not sure if he had practiced his pit stops, but completely silent on the radio. Nothing has been said. Usually that is because you are just not all together as far as emotions go. And especially when you ride around all day just to play it safe, and then something like this happens, it could be a game changer, and it most likely will be.
Well, gotta note, though, that if a caution comes out, he's going to be in a position where, A, assuming nobody else gets lapped, he's going to be given the wave around as the lucky dog recipient, as it's referred to, and be back on the lead lap. He'll be back in the pack, but he'll be on the lead lap and be in contention for the win. If another car is lapped, he'll still be able to take a wave around because all these drivers in front of him have to make a pit stop at some point. So more than likely, they're going to come to pit road, and he'll be able to stay out, be in front of the rest of the pack, and be able to get the wave around the pace car on the one-to-go lap. But if no caution comes out, he's not going to be cycled up to the lead, and that'll be unfortunate. But I've said it again and again, I'm going to find it hard to believe that we're running green to the end. This is a good group of cars that we're seeing here, and they're all single file, just trying to make speed around this speedway. Once those front four do come onto the pit lane, I think we'll see that change, because this battle for, as it stands right now, 8th, will change into a battle for the lead, and it'll be a completely different situation.
So while we have some time to graze here, let's go over some statistics if you can't pull some up for us, Bates. Just some basic ones, what we had today as far as caution laps, lead changes, lead laps. So there you go. Surprise, surprise. I mean, we've seen, a couple cars up front all day. It's just been Jeff's been the most consistent as far as leading goes. He's in a position now where he's just waiting it out. He's either waiting for a caution or he's waiting for maybe to make it all the way. I don't think he can. I'm not sure. I have not studied the fuel mileage. What's interesting, though, is since he has stayed in a pack this whole time, not lost the draft whatsoever, he's actually not losing time to the people that have made a pit stop. Because the position he's in now is he has 2 cars in front of him and then 3 behind him, so he has plenty of area, has plenty of room to make up time or continue to hold a steady interval. So he's not losing time because of people that have draft. Because I'm looking at the times as far as the leaders go, or the soon-to-be leaders. Once he makes a pit stop, if he does, they're running the exact same times as him. So
sorry to cut you off, but that's top 4. They're all on pit lane right now on lap 79.
Well, there you go. They couldn't make it. Something interesting as well is all the cars in that pack did not actually make a pit stop. Just the cars as far as on the lead lap goes. So we won't have to worry about the lappers there. Ramsdell's on pit road, so let's go in the relative here. In 3 and 4 is the 95, and then the rest of the pack, which will take over. So what's going to happen is they're going to get their lap back.
Looks like they took the approach that Heffley took, just getting enough to be able to get to the end of this race and then getting out of pit lane. And I was being told that they were making time on the rest of the pack. They caught up with a couple lap cars, got that draft. They were actually gaining ground on those drivers who had already pit, and it looks like, with that being the case, they're going to cycle out and they're still going to be the leaders.
Yeah, they're gonna get caught, but they're gonna be real close to holding it off. Right now, Ramsdell's up to speed. Just about 10 miles per hour off, but the field is still far away. I mean, they're going to be up to speed going through the trial here.
That's what I'm saying. It absolutely worked out perfectly for them. They stayed out. They didn't have any hairy incidents, or anything that was at all alarming. Getting on the pit road along with everybody, trying to get on with everybody else. Stayed out, worked by themselves, worked the draft really well, gained time, got on and off pit road nearly perfectly, and now they find themselves with a huge advantage over the rest of the pack.
You can't do that any better than what we have just seen. Cody Dutton, he can make some moves as far as that car goes, but those 4 or 5 cars right there, strategically, that's a perfection right there. That is absolute perfection, and I can't believe I'm seeing this, but like I was saying, they made time up on him, and you were saying it too.
We have the 33 score as the leader, but he is slow off of turn number 4, working his way to the pit lane. I don't imagine he would have run out of gas or if it's an engine failure, but, well, he passes the pit lane, so I'm not sure what's going on here.
Nick Lancaster, very slow through the trial. I'm hoping this won't bring out a caution, because my goodness, that would be heartbreaking. I'm not sure why he did not elect to pit.
Not hearing the motor on that car. It sounds like it's idle going by.
Yeah, so I'm hoping this doesn't bring out the caution, because unfortunately if it does, I'm not saying it's ruining the race, but it's definitely ruining something that a lot of people put time and effort into, but that's just how racing works, so we'll have to wait and see.
If it does bring out the caution, it's certainly going to jumble things up, and now he is gone from the server.
Okay, so we don't have to really worry about that anymore. But Nick Lancaster disconnects, so Rafferty up here in tandem with Daughtry in the 20 car. They're going to cycle around to take
second place,
and your leader is going to be Stephen Little Jr., who has just made his pit stop. Or, I mean, who has not made his pit stop, but has cycled around. He has tons of damage, so he will not be an effect here.
But he was able to lead a lap, so at least in the final results, he gets to say that he was at the point at some point in this race.
Definitely can say that. Go through your top 5 here just to run it down real fast so no confusion. The 88 of Stephen Little Jr. will be cycled through once they come across the line. Once that takes place, we'll wait just for a sec to make sure everything is reset for you. But as it stands, it looks like the 20 is going to be your leader as they come across the line. And there you go. 20 car. The 28 of Davey Scoville. The Jeff Ramsdell machine in the 2 car. Dylan Rafferty in the 46, and the top 5, the 88 of Stephen Little Jr., which is not in the running order, so it's going to be Tyler Packer when it becomes official and he gets out of the way of the faster cars around the top 5.
I'm not positive that Tyler Packer has made his pit stop yet, but even if he has, there's good separation between him and the main pack. A good 1.5 or so seconds back to them. Overall, between the main pack and the leaders, plus over 2 seconds. So only 10 laps to go as they get to the line this time. 10 laps to go. Not much time for them to make up that ground without a caution.
Yeah, exactly. And we are closing on the end of this race, and I can say, just for myself, I've thoroughly enjoyed this race 100 times more than our last race. And if it was to end like this, given that there is a battle for the lead, and even if not, I think...
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, that has completely changed the picture that we've been looking at. I was going to say it was going to take some side-by-side racing up front, maybe seeing the end of the race closing in, wanting to get up into the lead and hold that position, but a mistake like that, hooking the bumpers wrong and losing all your momentum, that's going to let them close in quickly. We'll have to see how it evens out, but certainly close the gap quite a bit.
Well, a problem I'm seeing now is the 94's having to do a swap at a really bad time, too, because they have just caught this pack. And even if they catch this pack, they still have yet to catch the upward pack, which is actually the leaders.
Just looking at it, looked like it was about a second between them and the cars in front of them at the line, and they've continued to gain ground. They're going to gain the draft on the cars in front of them, and the cars in front of them have the draft on the front cars, so everybody's going to be jumbled back up here. It's just a matter of if they have all the time, as it looks like the 97.
A couple cars on pit road here.
And
I
Elliott
think
Henderson
those
also are making their way to pit road.
Yeah, that was just a scheduled pit stop, nothing out of the ordinary. And now that this is all went down, we look like we're going to close up these packs. It's going to take a couple more laps before we get all the cars bunched up. But as I was saying before all that happened, if it was to end like it was just a minute ago, it's still a good race overall. We've seen great racing throughout this whole day.
Yeah, it looks like Ramsdale may have gotten the message that the pack was coming, because he stepped out of line, and that's just only going to aid their efforts as he gets shuffled out and the 46 closes in the front bumper, on the rear bumper of the 20 in front of him. But as they do that, the pack closes in.
Actually, what I'm seeing now is that second pack really didn't close. It's a tandem that really made it up there. Brennan McGee's there. He seems to be one of the last cars that's made it. Here comes Johnson and the 30 car of Carpenter. They will be the secondary tango. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see any more cars make their way up there for the time being, because now they've lost the draft unless they can get their tangos going again.
Well, we have 6.5 laps left to go, and I feel like most of the pack's going to get their way up there. It's just we'll just have to see how it all shakes out. Yeah, coming down to the line, there will be 6 laps to go, and they worked hard to get up in that front pack to get in contention for the win. They want to get to the lead, and looks like we're seeing Steven Azenzi working the outside line, and 46 dives out in front of him. He wants to get into the lead, and now things are starting to shake up, and that's just going to let everybody else close in, and things are about to get wild.
Lap car on the apron there, not going to be any problem for the pack there. The 46 in the middle of the pack. The 94 Brennan McGee almost gets in the side of him. A little bit of a side draft effect going down the backstretch. Now we've got about 6 or 7 cars up here in this pack looking to get something going.
Yeah, and they're all fanned out, trying to find a line that's going to get them up to the front. McGee briefly working that third lane, now tucks into the second lane up in line, and that's going to put Corey Carpenter in the back of that little group. But now McGee up into that third line, trying to make it 3 wide for the lead as they cross the line. 5 laps to go.
And just like that, the back pack, or the second pack, is kind of pulled together because they are 3 wide in turn 1. Brennan McGee all the way up on the top tier of the track. The 2 car, not one to give it up, though. He's running for second. The 20 car still holding on to that top spot.
And we've seen Shane Doherty hogging that yellow line all throughout this time as everybody else is closing in, though. He might have to start throwing some blocks. I think that outside line is going to start having some good pushes, and he's going to have to defend himself we'll see how well he does. Everybody's getting back into this thing as they're coming around to 4 laps to go.
Just to show you how things can change real fast, last time by, Jeff Ramsdell was first. He's going to fall to third. Last time by, Davey Scoville was fifth. He's looking for second, looking for first going into turn 1.
And also how quickly things can change. We were talking about everybody being all spread apart. Now there's 18 cars within a second and a half of each other.
That might be the omen that these guys didn't want to have, because now that we've got all these cars back, we've also brought back Cody Dutton. Now he's the dark horse per se, but he's kind of far back there. He's going to have to make up some time.
Yeah, it'll take a charge very reminiscent of the 1-3 made at this track back in 2000 for him to get up to the lead, 18th to first. Well, I don't know if he can do it, but we'll certainly have to watch him. He's going to definitely give it all he has.
Yeah, just as you've said that, he's passed 3 cars, looking at 4. He's going to get held up by his little buddy there in the 51,
they're
Ryan
coming 4
Cobb.
wide at a lap car as they come up to this front straightaway. My goodness.
Oh, and that's going to slow up the 49. He's just going to get stopped. Corey Heffley with nowhere to go. And now he's just going to get freight trained. Say goodbye to 5 or 6 positions as Corey Heffley falls like a rock off 2.
Meanwhile, they're all fanning out 3 wide, and they're side by side for the lead up front as they
Contact,
look down the back
here we
straightaway.
go.
And there they go! The caution is most likely going to come out. Chris Overland goes around. Others are getting involved, and there's the caution. With only 3 laps left in regulation, we are going to see a green-white checkered.
And that's actually as close as it's going to get. We said 3 laps. You know, that's going to be really the cutoff point. And there you go. We got it.
Well, with, 120 laps left in the server to work with, an extra 26 to work with, they have plenty of time to get not only 1 attempt, but even more if they feel it necessary. It looks like Jeff Ramsdell may have been scored the leader. They were side by side for the lead when that happened.
I definitely would feel we're going to see multiple restarts here, and now it's kind of obvious what we're going to see, and it's going to be crazy, but it's also going to be kind of not frowned upon. It's still, it's go time now. Pack the car, it's go time. It's going to be crazy. It's crazy Jeff Ramsdell scored the leader, though. He did it right at the last second. And it was close. Him and the 28, very close. So we are getting confirmation that there will be 3 attempts at a green-white checkered if needed. As we go back and take a look at this crash, as far as I am looking back at it, Cody Dutton was near, not to blame though. I think once Cody Dutton gets in the picture, then people start losing their minds because they're like, well, we gotta go over him.
And looking at Dutton, he narrowly missed that race, that incident rather. But Chris Overland, who won our Daytona race, he was not as fortunate. Along with others, a lot of damage that's ending their event.
Yeah, all torn up is Chris Overland, and I believe that the partner of Dutton made it through there scot-free. I might be mistaken on that. I think he may have gotten to the 38.
We'll have to see how much damage he may have collected, but we were talking about when the checkered flag was beginning to be in sight, how everybody was going to be driving aggressively. And looked like the 58 was working his way up the middle, and at the same time, the 51 was sweeping up from the top down to the middle lane, and they just came together. But a product of aggressive driving, trying to make your way to the front as the checkered flag nears.
Yep, and some drivers have been put back into the picture as far as being able to win this race, or have a chance at it at least. Ryan Williams running, way behind the pack before this caution flew. Now 14th, he's got his lap back.
Hey,
he's on the lead lap. He's in a position to get it. Often referred to as the sleeper, Jeffrey McClintock. He's running a spot ahead of him in 13th place. Not done anything today. It's his time to shine. He's missed all the crashes, been in the right spot at the right time, and now he's just got to be there when it counts.
And just to, mention this when they made their pit stops, that front group and also Corey Heffley, only 4 seconds worth of fuel on pit lane. I wonder if they gave themselves any wiggle room for these green-white checkers, especially when this might be a situation where we could go well into overtime with the possibility of 3 green, white checkers. I wonder how much wiggle room they gave themselves when they were rationing their fuel.
Okay. Yep.
Buddy was moved to your channel.
And we have Chris Overland here. Just came out of the infield care center. Chris, what happened out there?
Well, 51 decided he was going to drive with the front 2 tires and not look past the rear 2 and just cut somebody off. I had some time to look at the replay. I had some time to calm down, but calming down only works if you've got a reason not to be upset. And honestly, 51 is just racing way over his head. And me and him, the last 20 laps or so, he'd been racing real aggressively when we were trying to catch a second pack, and I think the only reason we caught him in the first place is because I was blocking him because he wouldn't stay in line. But, I mean, he's still got a race car and I don't, so I guess he's the one who's got it all figured out.
Obviously frustrated, Chris. Cody Dutton, I don't know if you had any time to see him while in the race car, but he's been all over this track. He's somehow kept it together. Is the car that they've brought to Talladega, and especially in this this special event, is it easy to maneuver, or how is the car driving out there? Because it seems these guys can put the cars in spots that you really wouldn't go.
Yeah, it's great when you know your parameters, when you know when you're clear and when you're not, and that's what Cody Dutton's been doing. He knows when he's clear and he comes up when he's clear. There's nothing wrong with that. I have no issue with someone working both lanes. It's no problem. But when you're going to try to do that, you need to at least make sure you're clear, and that's what half the field hasn't been doing today. So I'm going to just watch this from the stands, and hopefully my buddy Corey Carpenter or Steven Azeni can win this one, because they've been racing the smartest race.
You talked about having to work your way back up to that front pack. You were able to do it, and business picked up, and I think that's what we're going to see here. Sorry that you have to watch it, but enjoy the show, because I'm sure it's going to be wild.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun race to watch. I'm going to sit around and just sit from my cockpit and watch from my broken car, I guess. Just thanks to Last Row Motorsports, Menards, and everybody for putting this event on. It was a blast. I just wish we could have done the last 3 laps.
Well, we thank you for being a part of it, Chris, and enjoy the show, and sorry for your bad luck, bud. You'll get it back again. We've seen you out here, and you've got a win in this little special event series we have, and it'll come back to you.
Let's hope so.
Chris Overland there, obviously frustrated with the card he was dealt. We've seen this kind of racing all day long, and I'm pretty sure we're not going to see any shortage of it as we near down at the checkered flag here.
Buddy was moved out of your channel.
Just completed lap number 95 of the 94 scheduled as we continue to work into overtime, and the lights just went off on the pace car as we took lap 96, so lap 97 will be taking the green flag, and if we don't have a caution, we'll be racing to lap 99, the completion of lap 98 for this win. But if the yellow comes out before the white flag comes out, we'll have to stack them back up and do it all over again. Let's give you a quick little rundown here of your cars on the lead lap and in contention really quick as they work this last pace lap. In the lead is the number 2 of Jeff Ramsdell. Running second in the number 20 is Shane Doherty. Running third in the number 46 is Dylan Rafferty. Running fourth is the number 28 of Davey Scoville. Running fifth is the number 69 of Mike Johnson. Running sixth is Steven Azenzi in the number 95. Running seventh is Brennan McGee in the number 94. Running eighth is Corey Carpenter in the number 30. Running ninth is the number 3 of Cody Dutton. We were just talking about him. And running 10th in the number 31, rounding out the top 10, is Justin Malillo. We haven't seen much of him today. He's kept his nose clean and stayed in the back, and looks like he's trying to charge when it counts. Running 11th is the number 42, Scott Stenzel. And I'm sorry, Bates? Knows how to work the draft no matter what simulator you put him into, whatever you may want to call it. We'll see how it works out as they work their way through turns 3 and 4. Give you the rest of this running order. Running 12th in the number 17 is Jeffrey McClintock. Running 13th in number 21, Ryan Williams. Running 14th in number 32 of Doyle Lawrence. Running 15th, Tyler Packer in the number 97. 16th, number 88, Stephen Little Jr. 17th, Corey Heffley in the number 49. 18th, Ryan Cobb in the number 51. And rounding out your lead lap cars, number 58, running 19th, Danny Condon, as the pace car peels off and they work their way towards the green flag.
It's going to be interesting. Here we go. It all comes down to this. A green-white checkered finish. We're going to see it as the green flag comes out. Jeff Ramsdell in the 20 car and many cars behind him going to fight it out as they go into turn 1.
Looks like Ramsdell timed that restart really well, was able to get up and get mostly clear of Shane Doherty. Free to work whichever lane he wants to. Looks like he's going to stick with the bottom, at least for now.
We've seen it all day. Jeff Ramsdell's going to have to make it wide. A lot of cars in the back. We see Corey Carpenter. He wants to go. One car in the wall.
Shane Doherty
Here
goes
we
to the wall,
go.
and there goes everybody. Cody Dutton flipping on the back stretch, and there is a big incident, and that is going to give us a second green-white checkered.
Another car involved, Jeffrey McClintock, and he's going to keep it out of the fence, it appears so. If he hasn't got any damage before that, he'll be fine. Brian Green involved. Doyle Lawrence, Brian Green, as I said. Elliot Henderson is slow, may have been involved there. Taraska also slow. Corey Heffley catching up, but the big damage and the big hit, Cody Dutton, I think he's out.
Yeah, along with many others, there's a lot of drivers that just got terminal damage, especially at this stage in the event. But certainly, Cody Dutton got his in the most theatrical of fashions.
Yeah, Cody Dutton, like we said, it was either win or bring back the steering wheel. And you got to feel bad for the kid because here he is in the position to win, and he was nowhere near that crash at the initial start. It just barely got his bumper, and then it was done. It's all it was. It was you take away 10 feet, and he's good. Unfortunately, in racing, it just doesn't come down to luck more than it comes down to the people you're racing with, and it's that time. People just get a little impatient, a little bit of a miscalculation, and bam, we have 5-6 cars and one car in the fence. Something that's kind of interesting about this crash, though, is now it seems the cars that were running up front have just swapped with the cars that were kind of being conservative all day. And that being said, we're seeing a good or a good half a dozen cars that we haven't seen at all today now populating your top 10. I mean, one to point out is, the 46, I mean, he's been up there, but he's been in there and then gone. And we have Tyler Parker, Ryan Williams, and a couple other cars, especially the 58, who might have been involved in that as he's making his way on the pit road now with some, what I believe either to be minor damage or just topping off. As we're going to see another green-white checkered, and I wouldn't put it against it. We might see another green-white checkered before it's all said and done. Going to be a lengthy caution here as we have a good cleanup on the back stretch. Looking to pull someone for an interview here. Leading the race right now is the 40, or is the number 2 car. Jeff Ramsdell. Let's see if we can get him pulled in here. Looking for him. Not sure if we can at this moment. He looks to be not available, so we'll wait on that. Cody Dutton, that'd be one if we can get him in here. I don't believe might be declining an interview right now.
Yeah, I believe that he's declining to speak to the media at this point in time. Probably pretty furious. He was, certainly catching our attention, and, we thought that he was being possibly too aggressive, but it was working for him, and he ends up getting caught up in an incident that isn't of his making. It's got to be frustrating, especially when, a victory is within your grasp, like it's obtainable.
Right. That's a good point, because a lot of these guys have had that moment today where there it is, finally. And, this whole day's paid off. This is the moment to cash it in, and unfortunately, it didn't cash in, but he bailed out. Let's pull Ryan Williams in here. He had a fantastic get through the crash moment. Right now, sitting 6th. We'll pull him in here and get a quick interview.
Buddy was moved to your channel.
Ryan Williams, this is the 4-hole booth up here, running what appears to be 6. We'll have to wait for it to cycle through. It might change. How's your car today, and how was getting through that crash through your eyes?
My car is running just excellent. I have not been involved in a single accident all day. I have not blinked any gauges all day. I just been running around in the back and got lucky with a caution there, and now I'm up here in the top 6. My view of that crash consisted of me crapping my pants because that startled me slightly, but I am okay and I'm P6 now.
What's your strategy now that you know that these guys' mentalities have shifted from conservative to no such thing as conservative, more of an aggressive nature? You're sitting in a good spot. When you restart, you're going to be about 2 rows in, 2, maybe 3 rows in. So you'll be right there in the thick of it all. What's your strategy? Are you going to get on the low line if you start on the high line, or where do you want to put your car to get you in a good position?
I don't really know, because it wouldn't be too odd to see another caution here. So I guess it's just whatever happens, happens. If I were to get caught up in an accident, can't feel too bad about it. But I guess whatever happens, happens. I don't really know, who's going. If anyone wants to work with me, that's good. I don't really have any plans on pushing anybody, but I want to go for the win just like everyone else.
Well, we wish you good luck, and we know it's going to get exciting. You have at least another try of a green-white checkered if we need to after this, so we still got some racing to do, and hopefully you can be there at the end, and good luck.
Thank you.
Buddy was moved out of your channel.
Let's see if we can get Corey Carpenter down here. He caught the tail end of somebody in that crash, but I think he's going to be okay. Let's see how he's doing.
Buddy was moved to your channel.
Hey Corey, this is Tyler Head up in the 4-hole booth. Do you have a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Looks like you caught a tiny piece of that wreck, but looks like you came through with minimal damage, if any. How's it feel in the cockpit?
I had Chris Overland up in the spotter stand telling me that I had a little bit of damage, so I came in. Turns out it was only a little bit, so I think we'll be all right. We're just going to push like hell up till the front, up till the end here, and hopefully we get up to the front. It's just it's a shame that we raced so well for like 90 laps and dumb move at the end there. I mean, 4-car push doesn't work here. Everybody knows that, and it just ended up happening.
Yeah, everybody's being really aggressive and making moves that won't necessarily work with the checkered flag in sight. What's your strategy to try and get up there and, possibly get the win or at least maximize your finish at this point?
Well, I guess I'm going to have to start making some of them aggressive moves that aren't supposed to work, and hopefully they work. So that's my only chance right now. I'm stuck here back in 12th. I'm not going to really be going anywhere by myself. I'm going to have to push somebody and hopefully get lucky. So maybe we'll get another red caution here and I'll get through it and start again. Top 5 maybe, top 10 at least. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully we can get a little more racing here going, though. I don't want to ride around under caution here at the end.
Is there anybody that you're eyeing that you can work with here?
Honestly, no. I mean, there's Justin right beside me, but we're starting beside each other instead of where we're supposed to be. So I'm just going to push somebody. If they abandon me, then I'll find somebody else. I'm not afraid to blow it up, especially now.
Alrighty, well, good luck to you. It looks like you guys are at least getting ready to get going here, so we'll leave you alone and let you focus.
Yep, thank you guys, and thank you for broadcasting again.
Well, thank you for participating. Good luck out there.
Buddy was moved out of your channel.
Lights are off on the pace car here as they work their way through turns 3 and 4. We're getting ready for our second green-white checkered attempt.
Yeah, listening to Corey Carpenter, he has the intention really in his voice that he's not too confident that we're going to go green for another 2 laps. I think we'll put money on most of these drivers are banking on another quick caution, so they're going to put themselves in a position that's going to put them at a good spot when we get another restart. I don't want to see another restart. I would love to have seen the race end under green as far as not going to GWCs, but unfortunately, you get down to the end of these races and things happen, and you think it's happened so far. You're about to see some things you probably haven't seen here on the 4-hole broadcast, so green flag in the hands of the starter. Lead them away, Tyler.
And they're waiting for that green flag, and it's in the air now. They get on the throttle, working their way down towards turn number 1, and Ramsdale does not get the start that he had last time. Number 46 is going to get the edge going into turn number 1 with a big push from Brendan McGee. We heard Carpenter under that caution talk about pushing and not caring about blowing up. I think that's everybody's mentality. We saw him go a lap and a half earlier in the race. We'll see if they can make it too.
Yeah, and just like that, 2 by 2 up front, we have the 2 Tangos, the 2 in the 69, and on the higher side, we have the 46 and the 94. Brendan McGee pushing the 46 down the super stretch, coming to take the white flag. If we get it, it will be official. Here we go.
As they work their way through turns 3 and 4, still neck and neck, working the high line. Dylan Rafferty with Brendan McGee behind him. Now they lose a little bit of ground. Mike Johnson giving a good push to Jeff Ramsdale, putting him back in the lead, but now the momentum comes back to Dylan Rafferty as they work their way through the tri-oval. Looks like he's going to get the edge. They're taking the white flag. This race is official. Next flag they see is going to see the end the race.
There it is, the dark horse of the type. We have the 21 and the 42. Ryan Williams, who we were just talking to, trying to push, trying to add a third and fourth car to this Tango. 2 by 2 down the super stretch. Where are they going to go? This is it. 2 hours, and this is all going to come down to a last 100 feet. I know it's going to be close. Jeff Ramsdale not going to give up. They're still side by side in turns 3 and 4.
Ryan Williams and Scott Stenzel trying to close the gap there, and it looks like they're going to maybe possibly get a run. Meanwhile, Jeff Ramsdale's pulling in front, but Dylan Rafferty trying to get the run on the outside. It's going to be a photo finish.
The 94, the 46, the 2, the 69, side by side. Who's going to get it? The 46 wins. The yellow flag waves. Your official winner is going to be Dylan Rafferty at the line.
Oh, he edges out Jeff Ramsdale by just shy of 200ths of a second, officially 17 thousandths at the line.
My goodness, and Brendan McGee did everything he had to do. He held the position, and then he let it go. He just let that thing bake, and they all let it bake. I really thought the 42 had something. I just think they got too hot too quick. But, wow, I tell you what, that was one for the hell of a viewing pleasure. I tell you that, much better than the last one.
My goodness, it took an extra 9 laps, but my goodness, it was worth it. That was a fantastic finish as Dylan Rafferty celebrates on the backstretch, and there's some other activity on the track. But, this is what we were looking for last time we came to Talladega, and we get the results that we were looking for this time. Spectacular finish, and really a spectacular race through and through. We saw the thrills and we saw the spills, and all of it just came together. I think it was a good package of everything.
Yeah, most definitely. I can't believe that these guys held it together. I mean, I'm kind of proud that they, made it as far as they did. We had one car, Ryan Cobb, actually is what actually brought out the caution, because these guys had gotten so separated. He actually flipped going into the tri-oval is what the caution flew, but at that point they were already across the line, so it didn't matter. It could have been close, though, but the 46 going to pull off the win, and much appreciated. I would guarantee that he is for Brendan McGee to push him to the line. So, yeah, most definitely a heck of a finish. And McGee, like I said, did everything he could. He gave that last push, let it bake, and just tried for himself. It's not over until that you cross that finish line.
User was moved to your channel.
And we have Scott Stenzel fresh off of his 5th place finish. Scott, oh my goodness, how did you survive that race and get yourself up into a 5th place finish?
It's teammates. I don't know if you saw Cody Dutton and Kyle Tarasca out there, but Cody cleared me there at the end, and he cut the hole that, where the big one came from, and man, that and a bunch of luck. So, I don't know. It's just one of those things. Talladega, you either finish last or you finish towards the front,
It looked like you and Ryan Williams were working really well there on that last restart. If you had just maybe one more lap, could have been up there for the win. What were you thinking in the cockpit as that white flag was waving?
I was thinking, don't stall out now, car. Come on. And I backed up to Ryan there for a little bit, and he got on me real hard, and we just tried to cut that hole. When they got side by side like that on the start, that just made a huge hole for us, and we just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. man, it just stalled out. I think one more lap, we could have probably got in there, and it would have been ugly. It would have been ugly because everybody wanted to win tonight.
Certainly true. Congratulations on your 5th place effort, and hope to see you in the next one.
Yeah, thank you very much for having us. It was a great time. I appreciate everything you guys do, and it's very thankful to be here in the top 5. I got to admit it. So we'll see you next race. Yeah, actually, I've ran Texas, Kansas, and attempted Daytona. We're actually going to be attempting at Talladega this year. So we're trying to actually redeem ourselves from not making the show at Daytona this year. So this was kind of nice to come to Talladega and run with you guys tonight and actually feel what it feels like again. So appreciate it. Thank you, guys. You take care.
User was moved out of your channel.
I have to think so.
Buddy was moved to your channel.
Hey, Brennan McGee. Looks like you finished this one out strong. You had really all of the credit goes to you as far as that win, pushing the winner to the line. Rafferty in the 46. You ended up picking up a 3rd place finish there, Brennan. What did you see in that last lap to make that decision to really give the 46 the win?
I didn't really have much of a choice. It was either push or die. So, I mean, if I pulled over the line, I would have finished worse than I did. So I might as well just stuck behind there. I'm honestly shocked that Stenzel and I think it was Williams back there weren't able to catch us a bit better and make a move. But that outside line was just a death trap tonight. So, and then I tried pulling out a line coming towards the line, and well, that was pretty pointless since they were still pushing on the bottom.
The heating.
But I'll take a 3rd since I flipped the last 2 races.
Yeah, the temperatures, just real quick, it was a big talk going into this race, a lot of extensive testing done to make sure that no one was going to have an advantage as far as using the Tango for, a lot, an allowed time. It didn't look like you could hold it for more than a lap. But there at the end, you guys just gave it your all. How close were you to blowing up coming to the line?
I was double blinking. I'm shocked it actually didn't explode because I blinked twice earlier in the race for a little bit. But yeah, in the middle of the race, on average, if you're just running behind someone, you're still running about 270 on the oil temp, so you could only push for about 2 or 3 seconds before you started blinking, which pretty much just gave us our pack racing, which is pretty exciting. And this race went much better than the last Talladega race.
Yeah, I have to agree. It was one of the most exciting things I've watched recently on iRacing, and definitely one of the most fun things I've done as far as commentating goes. You guys put on a hell of a show, and I'd love to see some more.
Yeah, next up should be National Car at Atlanta, if all goes to plan, hopefully in 2 or 3 weeks.
Well, you heard it there, folks. If you enjoyed this race, we're going to be heading to a different, kind of a different track, but we can sure see the same as excitement, something a little bit shorter and a little bit different. Can't wait to see it, Brennan. Thanks for making this all possible, and we hope to see it all turn out good for Atlanta.
Yep, thanks for broadcasting.
Well, I just want to let you know, McGee, you were looking for an exciting race, and I think all 3 of us up here reached another octave with our voices coming to that checkered flag, so you certainly accomplished that with this event today.
So you went super homo?
Brennan McGee, everybody. We'll try and get a hold of our 2nd place finisher, Jeff Ramsdale.
Buddy was moved out of your channel. User was moved to your channel.
And we have Jeff Ramsdale down here. Jeff, oh, my goodness, it was a long race, and you had yourself in the right position there and just came a little short. Tell us what you needed to be able to win that race.
Well, Brennan McGee was a great pusher, pushing Rafferty on the high side. Michael Johnson was pushing me down low as best as he could. I don't think there's really anything else that could have been done, but that high side just gets a great run off the corner, and that's what Rafferty needed to win the race. Great win to him. Mile High Motorsports. Well, Rafferty Motorsports.
Yep, Jeff, you had a fantastic race. You had one of the better ones. At one point in the race, you had led the most laps. I'm not sure how that statistic came out in the end. You definitely were up there in the top 3 as far as the most led. What was your strategy throughout the entire race? It seems that you wanted to stay up front because I guess that was where the crashes weren't occurring. But your mindset going into the race and your mindset at the end of the race, how much did it differ?
I just try and stay at the front of it. The last 2 races I've had luck staying at the front, not getting caught up in the wrecks, and it paid off tonight as well.
Well, you did a fantastic job, and I think for the whole commentating team, I think we've seen some of the best driving come from 5 cars tonight. Were all over the place, but they stayed in the front, and you were one of the 5 that stayed always up at the front, and you did it well. And unfortunately, you didn't get the probably the finish that you wanted. Coming up a little short there, getting second, but, ever so close.
I was just hoping for one of my teammates to win the race, and that's exactly what happened. It played out exactly how we wanted it. I just got to thank HVMP and Chromatic Graphics, Mile High Motorsports, Davey Scoville, Dylan Rafferty, Case Brinksma, Brennan Hoff, Nick Lancaster, Chris Largen, Case Brinksma, and
well, we appreciate you being involved in the series, and we probably have some more things lined up, so we hope to see you in that, and thanks for racing.
I'll be there. And Shane Doherty.
User was moved out of your channel.
Last but not least, we're going to get a hold of our winner, Dylan Rafferty.
User was moved to your channel.
Hey, Dylan, your race winner of the big race here at Talladega, the 3rd 4-hole special event, and you did it in spectacular fashion with help from the 94, but a 1-2 finish for your teammate and yourself. Put those last 2 laps into perspective for us.
I just knew if I get a good restart, and once I got that, I just kind of held my groove and was hoping I'd get a good push, and it was a good push. It was a crazy finish. I thought it wasn't going to end very well, but it ended nice and cleanly. That's how I like them to finish.
Was there ever a time in the race that your car got to a point where it could have blew up at any in any second? Especially there at the end, a lot of cars were pushing and seeing double lights. Did you ever have that experience during the race?
Yeah, there was a lot of times where I actually blinked for over half a lap, and because the way my wheel is, I actually can't see my gauges, so I never know when I'm blinking, and I'll just randomly see, and it's like, oh, gotta get some air.
Who was last but not least? My last question for me. Your plan when that restart occurred, the 94 was behind you. Was it ever in your plan to get with your teammate at any point, or did you just feel like you wanted to ride it out in the high line? Because that high line during the whole day was not preferred, and you guys made it work off 4.
Yeah, I'm usually pretty good with the side drafts, so I just wanted to stay on the high side. But if I would have got such a big run that both of us would have cleared, I probably would have had to cut down so I didn't get left hanging on the high side.
Well, congratulations. That's the last question I have. I'll have to wait and see if any of our other commentators have any. You did a good race out there, a nice, clean one, and we hope to see you again.
Yeah, thanks for doing the race. It was a lot of fun.
I just wanted to ask you, if you knew when the checkered flag was flying and you came across the line, did you know you'd won it, or were you kind of looking, trying to find out if you'd gotten it or if you'd come up just short?
I used to struggle knowing if I won or not, but I've had a couple close finishes in my real car. I race a dirt car, and I've got pretty good of knowing if I got beat or I got... So I had a feeling I won, but I had to check a couple times to make sure.
Well, congratulations. You won in spectacular fashion. Enjoy it, and we certainly enjoyed watching you accomplish it.
Hope to race with you guys again. That was fun.
User was moved out of your channel.
Well, that concludes our post-race interviews as far as the top 5 goes. We might have some secondary interviews, but anything you guys want to add before we clear this up?
I think that's going to wrap things up here for the Winston 250 here at Talladega.
Did you want to do a full field rundown?
You can pull it up on the screen.
All right. It's up.
Alrighty, first, as you know, Dylan Rafferty. Second, Jeff Ramsdell. Third, Brendan McGee. Fourth, Mike Johnson. And fifth is Scott Stenzel. Sixth was Ryan Williams. Seventh was Tyler Packer. Eighth was Corey Heffley. Ninth was Justin Malillo. And 10th was Danny Congdon. Finishing 11th was Corey Carpenter. 12th was Davey Scoville. 13th was Brian Green. 14th, Stephen Azenzi. 15th, Stephen Little Jr. 16th, Ryan Cobb. 17th, Jeffrey McClintock. 18th, Elliot Henderson. 19th, Kyle Taraska. And 20th, Cody Dutton. 21st was Shane Doherty. 22nd was Doyle Lawrence. 23rd was Chris Overland. 24th was Matt Sanders. And 25th was Nick Lancaster. 26th was Philip Kraus. 27th was Eric Rodman. 28th was Connor Babel. 29th was Eric Arnold. And 30th was Chuck Johnson. 31st was Joe Johnson. 32nd was Chris Smith. 33rd was Brian Mercurio. 34th was Devin Schmecker. 35th was Mike Taylor. And running out the field, 36th was Brandon Hoff.
Yeah, and for the entire broadcast team, we want to thank you guys for joining in. I think actually at one point of the broadcast, I'd seen a total of 40 people watching at once. That's amazing. Actually, the viewing increase over the last 3 races has been phenomenal. I'm glad everybody joins in. If you're not a part of a thing we have called the Sim Racers Garage on Facebook, it's a fan page for just sim racing in general. It was almost as if it was our own Twitter feed. I was checking that through the entire race. People are watching it. And I'm glad we put on a good show because it actually deserved the attention it got today because we earned it, and you guys driving earned it. We hope that this event gets bigger and even cleaner, but honestly, I'll take a race like this all the time. It was, we had our crashes, and some might say the finish wasn't as exciting, but it doesn't get any better to me when we have 2 or 3 cars coming at the line separated by a couple of feet. And that's all that we want in our viewing. The viewers that watch, we still put on it whether 5 or 6 people are going to watch it, but when 40 people watch it and see a show and it's free and it's broadcasted in a way that's it's got a lot of production value as far as us commentating. We put a lot of effort into it, and Bates and Tyler here have spent a lot of time on the tickers, making sure everything is up to date and easy to follow along. So I would hope that everybody would appreciate that, but we're not perfect. We're getting better, and we hope that everybody joins in for the next big event. So for myself, Bobby Campbell, for Tyler Head and Alex Bates, we do this for fun, but it makes it even better when you guys appreciate it. So we want to thank everybody for tuning in, and it was a great race, Alex and Tyler. I'm pleasure you guys allowing me to be here, and I'm glad we do this because it's a lot of fun to do.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. It was a fantastic race to watch, and it really is nice to see the effort that we put into it, and see some people able to watch it and appreciate to some level, whether you think we're corny or you actually appreciate our input. At least you're watching, and you are getting something out of it, and that's rewarding for us. And
right.
It's really a lot of fun for us, and we hope it's fun to watch, and it seems to be based on the viewership. But certainly appreciate you taking your time to watch it, and hope you have as much fun watching as we do commentating on it.
Yeah, and I guess that wraps it up unless you have something to add, Bates?
Nope, that's it.
Well, we appreciate you joining in, and make sure to stay tuned to the Sim Racers Garage and Alex's YouTube channel, where there'll be an announcement for the next big event. We'll probably have a couple weeks off to get it rounded up and ready to go. But other than that, that's it, boys and girls. We've seen an amazing 120-something or just about 115-lap race. You can't ask for anything better. Congratulations to the participants in their nice finishes, specifically Dylan Rafferty taking home the top spot. For Bobby Campbell, Tyler Head, and Alex Bates and the Foral broadcast team, the Winston 250, thanks for watching.